Hey, how are you? It's Mary Bick now, and today what we're going to talk about are 3 common places. And oof, body's going bad. I need to get one of those diva rings. If you have one of those diva rings, let me know. Give me a high five in the comments. 3 common places you, my dear female friends, you give up your boundaries and what it is costing you in your life and business. What is it costing you in your life and business? It's costing you a lot. It's costing you so much mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. I'm going to share a story about something that I have not talked about yet. I'm probably going to be talking about this a lot more as the time goes on, where I feel like I gave up my power, my boundaries in these 3 particular areas. So the very first place that it's common for you, for women, number 1, to give up your boundary is with yourself. You give into that fear. You forget how to be bold. You forget that you're the leader of your life and your business. And you allow fear and its little whispers. Its little whispers to affect you. Right? How is it affecting you? Let me fix this audio. How is it affecting you?
You know, fear is the thing that's trying to keep us safe. Here's where I gave up my boundary. This is really hard for me. Hey Susan, this is the first time I've talked about this. It finally had some resolution today. It was numbing to me. So I had a medical procedure that went wrong, and I just finished speaking with the doctor about malpractice. This is one of those places where my boundary was shaky. And it cost me, drained me. And it affected my life. It affected my business because I lost touch with who I was. And that's the fear, right? When you have something happen to you, sometimes it's probably, and I know it's PTSD because, you know, as a therapist, but what happens is there's something about when you're taken advantage of, when somebody causes you great harm. But that boundary that I gave up was that I knew I shouldn't have gone to that person. The boundary of giving up on my instinct, my gut, my intuition, my knowing, and honoring that and holding the space for that. Number 2, the second place that we give up our boundaries, and it affects us significantly in our life and our business, is with other people. So we have our own fears that creep in. Hey, Stephanie, we have our own fears that creep in where we're just like, you know, I can't do this or I can't do that or whatever. But then when we give in, when we lose the boundary for other people, that's when we can get taken advantage of. That's when we have that resentment. You know, think about this. I want you to put yourself in somebody else's position, because I know that you are, that you are a loving, kind person, or else you wouldn't be here, right? You are service-based. You want to help the world. Yeah, you want to make a ton of money, and we all do, and have free time. Got that. Let's just say that's already a said deal. But you want to help other people. The problem is when we lose our boundary, like with a client, let's say, or saying yes to the wrong client, or saying yes to an opportunity that is really not going to be of greatest service and value to us and our life and our business. The cost, again, is our thinking, our physical health, our spiritual health, not to mention like the dollars and cents that it may be costing us, and just the weight of knowing you screwed up and you made the wrong decision, or not even, and the screw up happens when you don't hold that boundary. So we're going to talk about what to do differently in just a minute. But let me give you an example of how to say a gracious no. So somebody asks you to start a project. I don't know. They want you to volunteer. They want you to do something. And how are you socialized, woman? right? We're all socialized, like, be nice, do the right thing, help a Sally out. The truth is, we're like, shit, I don't want to do that project. I don't want to do that thing. But we say yes. And it's a resentful yes. And that resentful yes is toxic, right? It's toxic. It's draining us. It's costing us, because then we don't have the energy to give to the thing that really lights us up, and that really could have a ripple effect to change the world and the cosmos and all that good stuff that I know you're here to do. So our fear of wobbling that boundary when we say no. Here's how to say no. Gosh, I really appreciate you thinking about me. Unfortunately, I don't have my plate is full right now. Not I'm crazy busy. We're going to talk about that in a second too. But my plate is full right now. Can you circle back around the next time and ask me, or you could say, could you circle back the next time? How can I know this is going to cost $25 or whatever it is. Can I go ahead and write a check for that donation or the brownies that I could have made or something like that? So let's talk about what this looks like when you take on the wrong client. If you've taken on the wrong client before, let me get some hearts, let me get a high five, let me get a thumbs up. The wrong client drains you. Wrong client is just like, ugh. But let's step back about clients. Let's get back into when you say yes, a resentful yes. Think about it. Do you want someone to say a resentful yes to you? No, you don't. And you don't. You might really want that person's help, or you might not even realize that you're imposing. Let's just think that you're not obnoxious, right? That you didn't even realize that was a huge ask. Most people, they don't all think that, but that person said yes. And then they go home and they're pissed at their dog or their kid, or they can't show up in their own life, in their own business. And so feel into that too. When somebody's saying yes to you, like, read them, listen to them. Be open to the possibility it may not be right. Learn how to say a no lovingly and graciously instead of a resentful yes. That's how to do it differently. But next, let's talk about the client situation. When we collapse our boundaries with our clients, let me give you a couple examples. Number one, first of all, with money. Okay, this is the third common place that women give up their boundaries, around the money. And it ties kind of into the other, and of course with self. See how it all works together? What happens is when we take on the wrong client, and the wrong client is not someone who you think, well, I'm not really sure. Like, it's the wrong client. If you're not real sure it's the right client, that's probably the wrong client. But if you're not real sure, there's plenty of things that you can do. You could change your package. You could do something shorter. You could do a little test run. A lot of different variations of how to handle that. But the wrong client, it's going to drain you. It's going to ruin things for you. A different way to do that is looking at knowing who your perfect client is and being able to be honest. I have to tell you the truth. Recently, I had a situation where I had to be, I'm always honest, but this made me uncomfortable to be so bottom line with somebody and just say, I don't think you're right for me. Even though I really liked the person, I really wanted to work with them. But my gut was telling me, right? Boundary number one, self. My gut was telling me, this is not feeling right. And I could have wobbled my boundary because she was just like, Mary, you're great. And of course it was tons of money, I make a great living, and I know I could have radically changed her business. But not all money is good money. Hey, Michelle, not all money is good money. And when you can learn to live your life that not all money is good money, and you are able to hold that boundary and not say yes to the wrong opportunity, that's powerful. That's powerful. Share this with a friend that is wobbly on their boundaries. Does anybody know? And you don't have to say it's you. Do you know somebody? Let's have a thumbs up or our little heart. So let me tell you what happened. So back to the money situation with clients. Here are some options for you to do things differently. Number one, if you feel like the boundary is being shaky with a potential client, you don't have to stick with what your current advertised package is. You could say things like, Sally, one of the things I realized after speaking together, I'm not sure that we're the best fit for my package that whatever is advertised on my website or that we originally spoke about. What I think would be in the best interest of us both, and it's okay to say the best interest of us both. Guess what? That's okay. This is your life and your business. You can do this. What I believe is the best interest of us both. You're getting your power. You're claiming your power. You're asserting your power. You're controlling that conversation and then lay it out. I don't know. It could be a 2-hour thing. It could be, instead of a year-long thing, a 1-month thing. Like, allow yourself the freedom and flexibility to make a different decision. Freedom and flexibility does not mean collapse of boundary and that you're just giving in. There's a big difference. There's a huge difference. Can you see that? Can you see that that's a big difference? Why this is important today is for me to share this, and I'm going to really be speaking about what it's like to be bold and to get your leadership. You know, being bold is about being a brave, outgoing leader, deciding to make a big difference, deciding to have free time, doing things differently to claim your power. Why? Because let me tell you, I had the most horrific medical experience, and just today, nearly 2 years later, it's being resolved. And I was shaken to the core and really evaluating where I fell off. My being a pretty damn strong woman, you know, how did I allow these boundaries? And you know, what it is because what happened is this was a doctor, right? And I know that, so I want you to really think about, how are we socialized? How do we give power away? So not only was this a doctor, this was a man. And I even hate saying it's a man, I swear to God, because I don't want you to think that I just give in to men. And it was a kind of a perfect storm of problems. You know, thank you. It was a perfect storm of problems. I was in the middle of redoing our house. We had lots of different people in the house, and people I would never let in my house normally. Let me just be really clear. I would never let them in my house normally. I'll tell you a funny story another time, but I want to stay on this about the medical issue and how it was so catastrophic for me. Nearly 2 years, I did not pursue malpractice with him. I didn't go after him, nothing. I was that shell-shocked. And it was because I'd had the stuff going on in the house. I'd taken some time off. We had a contractor that stole $30,000 from us. You know, I had all these things that were out of my control. And what I stopped doing was being in my daily practice of confidence, of boundaries, of feeling worthy, of being open to receive. Because sometimes it's hard to stay in that kind of energy, right? When somebody's just like literally crapping in your toilet, right? Like a stranger, like, ugh. And, you know, I was telling my husband today, to be quite honest, I was telling him today that you know, it felt like such a violation to my body, what happened with this doctor. I don't think he really recognized that before. So anyhow, I'm back, I'm bold again. But for this lesson today, you know, where are your boundaries? I'm going to keep examining my boundaries. I'm going to continue to share some lessons that I'm doing and some journaling so that I can give it to you. And today I really got back into my process, my normal process of showing up. And I want to support you to be able to show up, you know. And so again, those 3 places are self, others, and money. And oftentimes they all are interconnected, and they also flow into your life and into your business. Because, you know, as women entrepreneurs, right, our life and our business kind of overlap. So if they overlap, then self overlaps with fear. And so it wasn't this catastrophic happening wasn't within my business. This was a doctor, you know. This is the bottom line. That morning, I had such a core, deep sense of knowing not to go. Like the most foreboding experience, like literally, my brain was like, my inner self, my knowing, my intuition was like, don't, like literally, I can still remember standing in the kitchen, don't go, Mary, find another doctor. don't go. And I went. And I think that part of the reason that I didn't really pursue this is because I was beating myself up because I let my boundary of self go. So when I say what's the high cost, it cost me a shit ton, not in money. Of course, I'm recouping that, but my sense of self, you can't put a price tag on that. And I understand when we give our sense of self away and our boundaries with others, it's hard to get back. So now you know a few things to do differently. You know how to move through your fear and acknowledge it. What does that fear look like? You recognize what happened. What can you do differently in saying a gracious no instead of a resentful yes? And with money, how are we undercharging? How are you not charging enough for your services? Because that flows into the boundary of self and giving away your services. So let me tell you, we're going to be talking about a lot of this over the next couple of days. Come back here on my personal page. I'm going to put a link in the comments area that if you ever want to just talk to me, I've got like a little link that's just for a quick 15 minutes just to chat. I'd love for you to schedule something just so I can hear your sharing of your boundary, because I know nobody really wants to post that right now because it's kind of personal. So thanks for joining me. Here's to you being able to step up, put your boundary in when it comes to yourself and your fear and others, and saying no, and your money, and learning to value yourself and learning to claim your worth. We're going to talk a lot about this all week. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye now.